huge Great Pyramids in Antarctica. They jut out of the ice and snow, and they look perfect, just like those in Egypt.
Billy Carson just uncovered something that will shake you to your core. Antarctica is hiding massive ancient pyramids bigger than anything in Egypt, and the world has been kept in the dark. Beneath the thick ice, lost civilizations and advanced technology have been frozen in time, untouched for thousands of years. Tune in, because what Admiral Byrd saw beneath the ice wasn't just warm land. It was something far beyond what we've been told. The battle for Antarctica. Back in the middle of the 20th century, there were rumors about secret bases and massive pyramids bigger than anything ever seen, buried under the ice. Some accounts claim an entire ancient civilization is still sitting there, frozen in time, but more advanced than anything that exists today. Think about that. Pyramids, technology, and who knows what else, all locked away beneath Antarctica's thick layers of ice. And now, after decades of silence, the ice is finally beginning to give up its secrets. Now let us talk about some actual events. In the 1940s, there were reports of strange, unidentified flying objects zipping around at incredible speeds, seemingly coming from the icy continent. Even high-ranking military officials were talking about it. Admiral Richard Byrd, one of the most well-respected explorers of the time, led a massive operation down there called Operation High Jump. This was not just some minor trip. It was a military operation involving over 4,000 personnel, ships, planes, and advanced equipment. The mission? Officially, it was for exploration and research. But unofficially, there were whispers about something else entirely. Byrd supposedly wrote in his diary that he flew into a section of Antarctica that looked nothing like the frozen wasteland seen today. It was lush, green, and warm, almost like another world hidden within this one. And as if that was not strange enough, his plane was suddenly taken over by some unknown force, and he was guided to a landing area where he met someone he referred to as the Master. That is right. According to his own words, there was some kind of advanced presence down there. Whether it was an ancient civilization that had been there for thousands of years or something even more mysterious, Byrd's accounts suggest that humans were not the only ones calling this planet home. And whoever or whatever was there, they were not too happy with the way humanity was handling things, especially after the nuclear bombings in Japan. They had concerns about the increasing use of nuclear technology. Then there is the whole Nazi connection. During the Second World War, the Nazis were obsessed with finding ancient and powerful technology. They sent expeditions all over the world, including Antarctica, looking for hidden knowledge. They even built a secret base there called Neuschwabenland. But the real kicker? There is evidence that they got help, possibly from an advanced civilization that had been living in Antarctica long before humans ever set foot there. The Nazis supposedly developed advanced flying craft called the Haunebu, which looked eerily similar to what is now called unidentified flying objects. These disc-shaped crafts used some form of anti-gravity technology, allowing them to move at speeds and angles that defied physics as known today. Some reports even claim that after the war, when Germany fell, high-ranking Nazis fled to their secret Antarctic base. Some believe Hitler himself escaped and made it to Argentina, which is incredibly close to Antarctica. And if that was not strange enough, when Byrd and his team arrived with their full military force, they were not expecting what came next. According to reports, unidentified flying objects attacked their fleet, destroying ships and forcing them to retreat. Byrd later stated publicly that the United States now had a new enemy, one that could travel from pole to pole in the blink of an eye. Now let us get into some hard evidence. Antarctica has resources that are beyond valuable: uranium, plutonium, and coal reserves large enough to power the world for centuries. Is it any wonder why every major country has research bases down there? They are not just studying ice. There are unexplainable structures under the ice, some of which resemble massive pyramids that dwarf even the Great Pyramid of Giza. One of them supposedly measures over 2 kilometers on each side of its base, making it one of the largest structures ever discovered. There is also a strange energy being detected from these pyramids. Some military personnel who have been down there reported that their equipment was being drained by an unknown force. This same kind of exotic energy has been reported in other mysterious locations, like the Bermuda Triangle and the Dragon's Triangle near Japan. If a straight line is drawn from the center of the Bermuda Triangle through the Earth, it ends up right at the Dragon's Triangle. These places all seem to be connected by something far beyond what is currently understood. Then there is the Antarctica Treaty. Signed by countries all over the world, it strictly controls what can and cannot be done on the continent. Officially, it is meant for peaceful research and cooperation. But unofficially, many believe it is to keep the truth locked away. Civilians can visit certain parts of Antarctica, but access is limited, and they will never get near the areas where the real secrets are buried. And that 30-meter wide opening, visible on satellite images near some of the research stations? Nobody talks about what is inside. There is even more strange activity down there. Ever heard of the Nazi Bell or Die Glocke? This was a secret Nazi project supposedly focused on time travel and anti-gravity technology. It involved rotating liquid metals, possibly mercury, at high speeds to create some kind of energy field. Some believe this was an attempt at opening portals or even altering history itself. What is strange is that after the Second World War, the bell vanished without a trace. Decades later, a similar object matching its description was reported to have crashed in the Americas. Then there is the whole idea of ancient pole shifts. Antarctica was not always covered in ice. In fact, old maps like the Piri Reis map show the continent with no ice at all. Scientists now believe that at some point in relatively recent history, the Earth's crust shifted, causing Antarctica to move to its current location. Before that, it was a habitable land with rivers, forests, and life. That explains why perfectly preserved animals have been found frozen with undigested food still in their stomachs. Something catastrophic happened suddenly, freezing everything in place. As Antarctica's hidden past unfolds, another frozen land steps into focus. Greenland's ice holds clues to a world long gone, now coming to light, the glacier that holds the key to our future. Our world has been through some seriously icy times. Earth was one big snowball, frozen solid from top to bottom, not just once, but at least a couple of times. Fast forward to today, things are melting at an alarming rate, and scientists are on the hunt to uncover the mysteries buried beneath all that ice. Greenland's ice sheet is the second largest on the planet, and it is no small deal. We are talking about a massive slab of ice nearly 2 miles thick, blanketing 80% of the island. And it is not just sitting there quietly. Glaciers like Jakobshavn are on the move, sliding a mind-blowing 150 feet every single day. Meanwhile, the coastal waters are busy carving out towering icebergs as tall as a 300-foot skyscraper. But all this ice and movement are not even the most interesting thing about Greenland. What is hidden underneath? Now that is where things get wild. Greenland is enormous, 3 times the size of Texas, but barely anyone lives there. The total population is a tiny 56,000 people, making it the most sparsely populated place on the planet. The temperatures are brutal, keeping most of the island unlivable. But down south, things are different. Thanks to the Gulf Stream, parts of Greenland actually have tolerable weather, and that is where a chunk of the population has settled. In the center of Greenland, though, it is a whole different story. Temperatures stay below freezing all the time, meaning the snow never really melts. Instead, it just keeps piling up. Freshly fallen snow is soft and fluffy, but as more layers build on top, the weight starts packing it down. Go down deep enough, more than 260 feet, and the snow is so compressed it turns into solid glacier ice. Right now, Greenland is holding an absolutely mind-boggling amount of ice, about 695,000 cubic miles of it. That has been sitting there for hundreds of thousands to even millions of years. But Greenland was not always an icy wasteland. Beneath all that ice is a giant rocky landmass that was once covered in lush valleys, flowing rivers, and thriving lakes. Even today, not every inch of Greenland is frozen. Down in the southern part of the island, there is a place called Tsinghua Valley, the only spot with an actual forest. And with rising temperatures, this little green patch might just be a preview of what is to come. Could Greenland actually turn green again? It is not impossible. Back in the year 1966, a group of United States military scientists drilled deep into Greenland's ice, uncovering something totally unexpected, evidence of a time when Greenland was alive with forests. They found perfectly preserved twigs, leaves, and fossilized plants, all frozen in time. If you poured water on them, they would spring back to life, looking almost brand new. Turns out, about 400,000 years ago, parts of Greenland had spruce forests and tundra, proving this icy land was not always this way. All that ice sitting on top of Greenland acts like a massive insulating blanket. Down below, the ground stays protected from the biting cold winds above, while heat from inside the earth warms it from below. In some spots, the ice is glued to frozen ground, keeping it stable. But in other areas, especially near the edges where the ice is thinner, the base has started to thaw. When enough water builds up under the ice, it can act like a slippery slide, making the ice move even faster toward the ocean, and that is not good news. Right now, Greenland is losing ice at an insane rate, over 200 billion tons every year. That is enough to fill nearly 91 million Olympic-sized swimming pools. If all that ice were to melt completely, sea levels around the world would rise by a terrifying 23 feet. That would mean massive floods, swallowing up coastal cities, and displacing millions of people. Already about 680 million people live in low-lying coastal areas, and by the year 2050, that number could skyrocket past 1 billion. Here is the bad news. Greenland is shedding more ice than it is gaining. While it is going to take a long time for the whole ice sheet to disappear, the effects are already in motion. The sheer weight of the ice has pushed Greenland's central region over 1,000 feet below sea level, creating a giant depression in the land. This is not the first time something like this has happened. About 20,000 years ago, massive ice sheets weighed down parts of the planet, sinking land into the Earth's crust. Back then, ice covered huge parts of the world. Scandinavia, the Arctic, and even large chunks of North America were buried under glaciers. But here is something strange. Now that the ice is shrinking, the land underneath is slowly rebounding, like a memory foam mattress rising back into shape. While some areas are still recovering from being squished under all that weight, others, like the east coast of the United States, are actually sinking and will continue to do so for thousands of years. That is bad news for people living in those regions because it means they are at a way higher risk of getting hit hard by rising sea levels. Under Greenland's ice, something incredible has been waiting. What lies beneath isn't just frozen history, it's a story reshaped by time and nature. Greenland's Grand Canyon. Turns out, Greenland has been sitting on a massive hidden canyon for ages. Discovered in the year 2013, this thing stretches over 460 miles long, about 6 miles wide, and plunges to a depth of around 2,600 feet. That is longer than the Grand Canyon by more than half, but do not expect to see it anytime soon. It is completely buried under ice that weighs billions of tons. Imagine a huge river once carving its way through the rock about 2 million years ago. Even now, that old path still channels melted ice straight into the ocean. And if that was not wild enough, Greenland also used to have a lake that was enormous, bigger than the states of Rhode Island and Delaware combined. Fed by at least 18 different streams, this lake was over 800 feet deep. Today, it is nothing more than a hollow filled with sediment. But the clues left behind tell a story of a time when water, not ice, dominated the land. But the surprises do not stop there. Scientists using radar technology have mapped out an entire range of hidden mountains under the ice. These peaks and valleys rise thousands of meters, shaping how the ice sheet above moves. Some places are so rugged that they completely change the way glaciers shift, acting like barriers that slow or redirect the ice. Then there are the deep fjords, huge channels cut into the land by glaciers long ago. These fjords are like escape routes, guiding icebergs out into the ocean. Greenland is not just a giant freezer, though. It is also sitting on a jackpot of valuable stuff. Beneath all that ice, the land is packed with rare earth elements, materials needed for things like smartphones, wind turbines, and high-tech gadgets. Ever heard of neodymium, dysprosium, or europium? Probably not, but these metals are critical for the modern world. And let us not forget gold, silver, and platinum. Yes, Greenland has those too, but the biggest treasure of all? Water. Greenland's ice holds more than 68% of Earth's fresh water. That is a mind-blowing amount. If all that ice melted at once, sea levels would shoot up, flooding coastlines all over the world. And here is something even more interesting. Greenland has serious potential for geothermal energy. Deep underground, heat is constantly rising, and along the western coast, the heat flow is about 3 times stronger than the island's average. This could be a game changer, offering a clean, renewable energy source that does not pump pollution into the air. Maybe in the future, Greenland could lead the way to a world without fossil fuels. But wait, there is more. In the year 2010, scientists stumbled upon bizarre formations deep under the ice. At first, they thought they were looking at hidden mountain peaks like the ones found in Antarctica. But no, these structures were something entirely different. Massive ice formations called jelly roll sculptures. Some of these icy giants stand as tall as the skyscrapers in Manhattan, reaching heights of 3,000 feet and thicknesses of over 3,300 feet. What is unusual about them? They are not stacked in neat layers like most ice formations. Instead, they are twisted, rolled-up chunks of ancient ice, possibly dating back 120,000 years. And they are not hiding too deep, just about half a mile below the surface. Scientists once thought Greenland's ice was layered like a cake, but as they dug deeper, they realized those layers are bent, folded, and completely reshaped over time. Think of it like building a sandcastle. The base gets stronger as more wet sand is added. That is kind of how these ice formations grow, with melted ice refreezing and adding to the structure over thousands of years. But beneath all that ice and frozen history, there is something much older lurking, something that literally crashed into Greenland millions of years ago. Way back when Greenland was a lush, green rainforest, a massive asteroid slammed into the land. This rock from space was nearly a mile across and exploded with a force millions of times greater than an atomic bomb. The impact was so powerful, it triggered earthquakes stronger than magnitude 9 and sparked enormous wildfires. Thankfully, this happened long after the dinosaurs disappeared and long before humans arrived. The result? A crater stretching 19 miles across, now buried under 3,000 feet of ice. Scientists only found it in the year 2018, and its location gave away its history. Melted rock and sand grains from the crater showed signs of extreme heat, helping researchers determine that the asteroid hit around 58 million years ago. Greenland is not just an icy wasteland. It is a frozen time capsule packed with evidence of a past filled with roaring rivers, vast lakes, towering mountains, hidden metals, and even a cataclysmic asteroid strike. With every new discovery, it is proving to be one of the most mysterious and fascinating places on the planet, and the story does not end there. Scientists have been conducting ice-penetrating radar surveys for decades, mapping out the buried terrain. What they have found beneath Greenland's frozen shell is nothing short of incredible. There is an entire network of mountain ranges, some of which extend thousands of meters above sea level. These mountains are hidden under thick ice sheets, but they still play a huge role in shaping the landscape above. They affect the way the ice moves, influencing everything from glacier speed to ice shelf stability. Then there are the submerged fjords. These deep, narrow channels were carved by glaciers over thousands of years. Some of them are over 1,000 meters deep. These fjords act as pathways, allowing icebergs to break free and float into the ocean, and they are still changing. As Greenland's glaciers continue to shift and melt, these ancient fjords help direct where the ice flows and how fast it moves. Another remarkable discovery hidden under Greenland's ice is an ancient lake bed. This lake, which existed millions of years ago, once stretched across an area of about 7,000 square kilometers. It was fed by at least 18 streams and had depths of over 250 meters. Today, it is just a depression filled with sediment, but it holds important clues about Greenland's past climate. Scientists believe that studying the layers of sediment in this ancient lakebed could reveal valuable information about how Greenland's environment changed over millions of years. And that is just scratching the surface. Deep beneath the ice, researchers have also found massive ice formations that are unlike anything seen before. These jelly roll sculptures, as they have been called, are made up of twisted, rolled layers of ice that can be as old as 120,000 years. Scientists have used radar imaging to locate them about 1 kilometer below Greenland's surface. Their discovery has completely changed the way researchers think about how ice sheets grow and move over time. Could these findings reshape our understanding of climate change? Don't forget to like, leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe for more fascinating insights into our planet's secrets.